What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the new studio. For the first episode here, we have quite an interesting video for you. This video was originally supposed to be titled Probability, Evolution versus Christianity, where I would talk about the extreme probability of evolution actually being true, until further research determined that that argument sucks.
Hi.
Hey.
What are you doing?
Recording?
Right now?
Uh-huh.
I
know I do a lot of videos about bad Christian arguments, and I want to explain why I do that. This isn't exclusive to Christians, but Christians will continue to use arguments that we've developed confidence in. Now, I don't think that the problem is with the confidence itself, but I think we start to get too comfortable with arguments that really just don't work. The whole idea is to encourage Christians to continue learning and continue pursuing new arguments, and better contribute to new dialogue with people of opposing worldviews. Or at least stop using bad arguments. I'm noticing this trend within Christianity where we're taking this approach to arguments as if they're not supposed to make sense to people that don't believe. And as a competitive debater, that's completely the opposite view of what I think debate is supposed to be. The arguments are supposed to be for the people of opposing worldviews, not to affirm what we already believe. And that's why I'm criticizing this argument on probability. Creationists love probability, and it's because it sounds like an ace-in-the-hole argument. The argument goes like this. Based on the circumstances that we see today, the probability of evolution creating the biologically diverse world that we live in is about 10 to the power of 60, which is roughly the equivalent of the probability of winning the lottery or rolling car parts down a hill and it assembles by the time it gets to the bottom. I know what you're thinking, how could that possibly be a bad argument? Unless you're an atheist, then you're probably sitting there like, that's not what I was thinking. I mean, it completely exposes the unlikelihood of evolution, right? The problem with this argument is that it doesn't postulate the evolutionary worldview. In that this is one of many of the biologically diverse scenarios that we could have seen come out of evolution. Let me explain it this way. If I have 100 people and I tell them to get into a line and arrange themselves in a single file line 10 times, I'm going to get 10 different orders every single time. Arguing the probability of evolution is a lot like telling 100 people to line up in a single file line and then being amazed that it ended up in the order that it did. I've also heard analogies like dealing a deck of cards and you're gonna get a different order every time that you shuffle it. The point is that the order in which the world shows up in today doesn't matter. You have to assume the evolutionary worldview to be true in order to criticize it. You have to postulate it first. And if it is true, then calculating the probability of evolution reaching the current world that we live in today is a misunderstanding of what the evolutionary worldview is actually claiming. If we imagine a scenario where people had wings, or fish had feet, or if there's some other physical trait in literally any imaginable way that you can think of, the probability of evolution reaching that scenario is the same exact one that we're identifying with in this reality. But there is some legitimacy to the probability arguments against evolution, just not in that specific way. Once you accept certain premises on faith, like abiogenesis or complex cell development, you still have to deal with a lot of other problems that the evolutionary worldview holds. The probability of a simple functional cell developing out of just raw ingredients is 10 to the power of 57,800. Which is still way beyond enough to rationally doubt the evolutionary worldview. There are a lot of arguments against evolution that I think both Christians and evolutionists just kind of ignore or aren't aware of. So I'll definitely be doing videos about things like that in the future. But what are your thoughts on evolution and probability? Comment down below. Thanks for arguing with me. I'll catch you guys on the next video.